Well, to speak more on this, I have journalist Janet Mba Afolabi. She's the publisher of several reports. Yeah, so report that. Well, thank you very much for joining us this time, and happy Democracy Day.
Happy Democracy Day, a very good one at that, a well-deserved Democracy Day.
You listened to the president's speech?
Yes, the Democracy Day that is not just a random day, you know, that was picked to hand over to the civilian regime. It's a Democracy Day that really deserves to be, because that was the day the seed to democracy was actually planted on June 12, 1993.
That's a big one. Now, remarkably, look at all that has been identified with this man. Businesses, a lot of them, telecommunications, agriculture, aviation, media. But we don't hear more for most of these businesses today. What do you think really happened?
Unfortunately, when he died, the business began to die instrumentally. For reasons some of the family members may be able to explain better, because I spoke with the last born of Kudirat, the late Kudirat, and he gave me an insight into some of the things that happened to his businesses. Not every one of them were supposed to handle the businesses. Some were given some businesses to handle, and they were not able to manage them well, and the businesses went down. So this guy, the last born of Kudirat, late Kudirat Abiola, has now taken it upon himself to revive some of these businesses. For instance, he went to where Concord newspaper used to be. You know, he told me the place was abandoned and all manners of people. It was a mixed multitude of people living in that place. I don't know if you've been to that place before, near airport, International Airport. It's a massive land and building where Concord newspaper used to be. That was where Wonder Loaf used to be too. You remember Wonder Loaf? He had a bakery. Yeah, you know. And he had a bakery. You know, he had hands in so many businesses. So he went there like the biblical story where the owner of the temple went there and drove out all the people that were not supposed to be there. He drove all of those people out, and he's restructuring that place, and he's renting it out to some people, and he wants to revive Concord newspaper. He also went to the north, where his father had so many hectares of farmlands. And the emir of one of those places told him that, I thought you people had abandoned your dad. His dream was to have farms all over here. And he said, we are back to take back those lands. We are back to plant crops so that we can feed Nigerians.
Now, I remember growing up then. I was young, along Apapa the Expressway, where we see Berek, the battery.
Yes, giant. Berek was a battery giant.
You know, I remember all of those. I'm thinking, was there no succession plan? Because now that's what people are talking about now, that we need to really plan when we have big businesses and all of that. Do you think that, or maybe was it not properly done? What would you advise, you know, as we move on, for men that have large hearts, business empires like this?
I think there was no proper successive plan. And like the boy told me, because he's still a boy compared to me, he said there was a will. Actually, there was, he did a will. But in that will, he said certain businesses should go to certain people. Certain business should be sold and then given to certain children. You know, but maybe they didn't follow the will, or maybe they followed it, but they didn't have the kind of commitment, you know, to succeed the way their father succeeded. You know, they were born into wealth. Their father was born very poor, extremely poor, but he rose, he worked hard, and he earned his wealth. So he wanted to eradicate poverty. He was a philanthropist. He also went into politics, which is why we are talking of June 12 today. And the military underestimated his popularity. And when the consequences came with the annulment, they did not envisage the kind of reaction by Nigerians. Yes. So Abiola was a great man. Today is not only significant, it's symbolic. It is true democracy that we're having since 1983. This is the first time that, the first time in 1999 when election was free, fair, and peaceful.
But there's also this argument that the environment at that time was very conducive for business. You know, it wasn't as harsh as it is now. So many are looking at it that maybe we might not find another kind of Abiola again. I don't know if you're thinking that way. That maybe the environment then was so conducive for him to grow his businesses. So as we move on, we are moving to 2020 now, and it's the millennial age. What do you think? Do you see anybody, are we going to have another Abiola maybe as we move on?
I don't agree that the environment then was more conducive. At any point in time, in this country, there is no period that business environment had been friendly. Business environments have been extremely hostile. There had never been power supply regularly. There had never been 24 power supply all over the country for one day. We have not celebrated that. It is just that we had people who were determined to succeed, and they are succeeding. And where we may still have somebody like Abiola. We have, maybe some of them are quiet, they are not coming out. Maybe we have somebody like Dangote. Maybe he's not like Abiola because he's not a politician, and maybe he's not also doing the kind of thing that Abiola was doing for the masses.
Let's end it up this way now. As we move on, you've mentioned some notable names now. What would be your advice so that things like this don't happen, where people now die, their business empire almost goes off into extinction? We don't hear about it again. Look at, even me, I just quickly remembered Berek. I remember those days when my dad used to take me around, and ITT, you know, we
so
can go
many,
on
the
and
bookshop,
on.
Abiola
bookshop, you
so
know,
many.
I remember that too. Concord, like we've also identified. So, you know, it touched almost every facet of this economy. So what would be the advice looking forward, like so that we don't have this kind of recurrent?
My advice is that we should always prepare succession plans. Bring in your children into your businesses, because when you die, these are your blood. Don't distance them. Begin to teach them. You know, even at the lowly level, market women bring in their children. Maybe they are pepper sellers, for instance. They begin to train that child, the girl child or the male child, to know the trade. And by the time the woman dies, the girl or the boy now becomes more knowledgeable than any other person in that trade. So if we can also apply it in the high level setting, it will go a long way, so that when your business dies, when you die, your business will not die. There should be solid succession plan. Bring in your family, bring in your children, those who you identify that are capable. Not just because it's your child, you want to bring him in. You must have noticed, you must have seen that zeal, the commitment, and the competence in him. Then you hand over to him.
I must thank you very much, Jeanette Mbafolabi, you know, just coming into the show and, you know, making it a real day for us. It's great to have you. Happy Democracy Day again.
Once again.
Thank you very much. And a notable one for that matter, like you said, very significant.
Thanks.
Well, we'll still be